Welcome to Keeping It Real with Jenn Godfrey. Denise, thank you so much. I am so excited to have you on my podcast, Keeping It Real with Jenn Godfrey. Denise Wiesner, I love you so much. I have nothing but amazing, positive things to say. I mean, you are more than just a mentor to me. You've become a great friend. We've been working together professionally now for over 10 years, and you've really helped guide me through all walks of life, from pre-kids to twins and everything in between and after. So I'm so grateful you're on the podcast, and you are a holistic Chinese acupuncturist, a acclaimed novelist. You have, how many books have you published now?
I have a book that I've written, and I was also in a medical journal on a book that was on sexuality and fertility, and Chinese
Okay.
medicine. So yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. And I mean, you are also a sex coach. So, I mean, you kind of do it all when it comes to connection, healing, and just the space for anything natural. I would say it's you. And I'm just grateful to have you on here. And I wanted to know from you, how did you get to this place? Like, what drew you to become a natural path? And where did this journey start for you?
I think I've always been into healing arts, and I wanted to become a nutritionist, and I went to school, and my first person that I had in Santa Barbara, in UC Santa Barbara, was this like very, very obese woman talking to me about nutrition. And she was like, "Oh yeah, white bread's the same as wheat bread." And I thought, this is not what I want to study. And I ended up switching gears and becoming an exercise physiologist, and did a lot of stuff in alternative sort of medicine around getting healthy and diet and exercise in the 80s. And then I was guided to becoming an acupuncturist or doctor of Chinese medicine just by, I kept meeting people and they kept saying, "You'd be a really good acupuncturist. You should study Chinese medicine." So I think sometimes when we're in healing and we put the intention out of what we want, it finds us. And so that's what happened to me. I just got kind of guided into it. Yeah.
Okay, and that's great. And then when you were in school, did you always know that you wanted to be in this type of space, or remember you telling me at one point you wanted to be a psychologist, correct?
Yeah, no, I wanted to be a psychologist. I was gonna get my PhD, and then I kinda got
Okay.
veered into this, which is so perfect for me because it really deals with body, mind, and spirit. I mean, psychology is amazing too, right? But I get to work on people's bodies and where trauma is stored or it's body, mind, spirit. So I get to work on all three things. That delights my soul. Yeah.
Great. And for me, like, that's so true because it's amazing that, to have those psychiatrists and other doctors. But I would say what you do is so pivotal, especially to me and so many people that I know is, maybe we don't want to be on medications, or we have like some kind of misconception of, what going to a doctor really means. And you're so good at making sure that when you're working with somebody, you're getting to know them as a whole. And I think that connection and really what you do is pivotal. And for me, especially because you're not just trying to see a patient. Like, you want to know the backstory. You want to know how they're feeling. You really can gauge somebody's energy. And I feel like that's huge. I mean, it's not just like, oh, I have a problem. Can you help me? Yes, bye. You actually take the time and do the research.
Thank you. I try.
Yeah. Well, you do. I mean, and I think there's a lot more to that. I mean, and maybe you can elaborate like on, for me, for example, like, you're a client of mine. And so I kind of already knew what you did, but like you and I have connected on such a deeper level. And I would almost say you're like a sister to me now because I trust you. I trust you that you are going to not react to what I say, but you're going to actually, you feel what I'm saying, and you kind of take that in. And I think it really takes a special energy and a special person to be able to match somebody else and like be able to see where they're coming from and actually put a plan for them. So example would be with a fertility journey or something. I mean, you're really good at, it's overwhelming when we're trying to get pregnant, right? And you're
Yeah.
good at helping women say, okay, maybe you don't need to do all of these things. Let's take a step back. And, maybe we can start with that and just kind of the process that you take in that journey with women and also the partners and how the partners have a lot to do with that as well, as far as like maybe it's not just the women, and sometimes we always think it's my fault or I'm the one that isn't able to do something, and you're really good at that connection once again, making sure that you're not just looking at the doctor side of things, like, I mean, you are, but you're going deeper than that and are able to find things.
Yeah. I mean, I think the beauty of Chinese medicine and learning it is it's a system looking at sort of patterns of imbalance. So we look at everything because we look at, digestion and how your menstrual periods are. And, have you do you run hot? Do you run cold? We kind of look at all the body systems and what's going on in your life and how your relationship is with your partner if you're trying to get
Yeah.
pregnant and sort of deal with it on that level. And I think what happens with so many women, right, especially right now, there's just so much fear, sort of you start looking on Instagram and you start getting these so-called experts, people that run these programs on fertility that really have no degrees and talk about their success rate. People are just so desperate for getting help that they turn to maybe wrong advice. And I see that a lot lately where people are such in a hurry, lack of patience, and needing to have things quickly and all of a sudden go from trying a couple months to IVF. I just had a woman, I
Yeah.
did her transfer today, and she's lovely. They're in their I don't even know why they're doing IVF. I think it was just like she wanted to do IVF. I don't know. I don't think there was anything wrong with their fertility. And I see that a lot. And, IVF, it's like drugs and medication. And I'm not anti IVF. I see a ton of IVF patients, very pro
Mhm.
IVF with the right person. Not everyone needs to do IVF. So I think the Chinese medicine background is really not just like acupuncture, but really looking at the body of a whole and seeing like, what are we doing that is making our life out of balance and trying to bring balance back in. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I mean, and you're really good at it. I know your statistics and what you do. And I mean, for me especially, I went through so much trauma with my pregnancy, bearing twins. It was a totally for me, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm 35. I got married. I don't know if we're going to have kids. Like we're just going to travel and have fun." At 36, I thought, "Oh shoot, like if we're going to do it, we should do it now and go for one and just see how we do." And when we found out we were having twins, it was just, I mean, Todd, I think, is still in shock about it, to be honest. It's amazing, but it's a lot at our age. But I mean, at 37, I just the health complications that I had, I mean, I don't think that my regular doctor would have been able to just help me with it, and I'm talking about, like, the anxiety and, am I able to have sex, just holding the babies in as long as I was able to, and then, like, my birth story was an insane, crazy thing to even go into, but it was just so much trauma, and even now going back and trying to deal with that and looking back at, image and what I looked like and how hard that was for me, it's like you really helped guide me through a lot of that and connect with my husband on such a better level because I mean, I met you, I know you, but you also were able to tell me it's not all me. It's not all on me. And I feel like we always carry so much stress, and that can transfer into other things. And you're good at making sure that we can project the trauma. And how I mean, how would you say that you're able to take your own trauma, I guess, and what you've been through and be able to help like someone like me or other people with what they're going through?
I think all of us in one way have some type of challenges, life challenges,
Yeah.
right? Everyone gets some life challenges at some point in their life. Some people more life challenges than others. I think as someone who works on patients, all the things I've been through, everything I've learned has only made me a better practitioner of really holding space for people's truths, people's things that they don't want to talk about. I think one thing that I really like and I enjoy so much are talking about the things that people don't wanna talk about, anxiety being one of them, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say right now the culture, probably 90% of my patients, 95% of my patients are anxious. It's like it's not from what's happening in the world, it's happening with their own bodies, fear of not being able to conceive or diseases and cancer, lots of stress. However, I think getting help and community and support and knowing that there's other alternatives and believing in the body's ability to heal or the body's ability to get through difficult situations, that all of the challenges that we go through end up sort of helping us become more spiritual, better human beings, right? It's sort of like the pearl in the oyster, right? It's like
Mhm.
the little piece of grain gets into the oyster, it irritates the oyster, and a pearl is made out of that irritation. And I think we have to become more pearl-like, if you know what I mean, because
Yeah.
life happens, stuff happens, right? And it's the ability to move through difficulty that makes us stronger and better human beings. Life isn't always easy, right? So, yeah, I think in my own case, definitely everything I've been through has made me, more compassionate toward myself and to others. Yeah.
Well, and I love that you said that because it is true. And like for me, anxiety, I don't, how many times have I called you this past year and saying, oh my gosh, do I need to get on medication? I think and you're like, no, no, you do not need medication, Jen. You need to go channel your energy, go do something, go clean, and it is like, even I go through it. I have very high anxiety and I really do thrive on my anxiety. I try to use it and channel it in a positive way, but I know not everybody is able to do that. And would you like say that you have a large amount of patients that you're able to like naturally help with their anxiety? Like for me, example, or I mean, how many do you think actually really do need to be on medication? I know that's a per patient basis, but do you think that we're kind of over medicating right now and just it's like I feel like there's a lot of people on medication, to be honest with you.
Like, I feel like there are so many things before we get to medication on so many levels that you
Mhm.
do. Like, there's steps that you do before you get on medication. Some people have to be on medication, and there's no
Yeah.
shame on medication at
No.
all. It's really useful for some people, right? However, there are so many things to do. Medication is sometimes for situational anxiety, people just get on meds and then they never get off meds, and their medication is usually meant for situational, but it's really like looking at different areas of your life to deal with anxiety. I'm anxious as a person, I have anxiety,
Yeah.
absolutely, and more situational and managing it. I'm not on meds, but I don't get any prize for that. Managing it, there are so many good, like meditation is a great thing to do for anxious people. Acupuncture is a great
Yes.
thing to do. Having like exercise is really good. Watching
Mhm.
caffeine and sugar intake helps with anxiety. There are amazing herbs for anxiety. I think my number one seller is like a product called Tranquil. I mean, I give it to so many.
Okay.
It's
Yep.
like it's a substitute for an SSRI. It works very much like that with 5-HTP and other Chinese herbs. And a great, and you don't have to take it every day. So I will give that to people that are anxious, having difficulty sleeping. And if people, and I also have patients that all, really need to be on medicine. And then they try medicine and they can't take it. They don't react well at all to the medicine. So in
Yeah.
that case, we go backwards and go back into herbs. So, and then there's the anxiety that people have a lot with hormonal imbalance, quote unquote, or if they're,
Mhm.
from perimenopause to menopause and so I feel like there are so many great natural solutions, but it's a multitude of things. It's not just one thing, right? It's not just like meds or herbs. It's really like trying to manage and trying to I think what you said was really, really great. It's like trying to normalize, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
there's situations that we just feel out of control and we need a lot of support navigating. Or maybe they trigger us from old stuff from our childhood and we need help
Yes.
navigating, right? And navigating our way through. And at the moment, it just feels overwhelming. And there's also real situations where people are dealing with grief and loss and health issues and too many things at one time. And I think our society can be very lonely. And, we look on Instagram and everyone looks so happy and they're doing
Yeah.
great and they're,
True.
all, fabulous. And it's not really the case, I think, with most people. So, I feel like community, friends, it has to be a lot of support when you're dealing with difficulties. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because it's true. And like, I mean, on Instagram, everything looks perfect, like you said. And thank you, by the way, because you did help push me out of my comfort zone. I will say,
Okay.
if you wouldn't have told me, talk about judgment and fear and all of that, I mean, I was insecure. I mean, I think people think because I'm a loud personality sometimes, or I'm, you know, just do stuff, a lot of it is that anxiety pushing me.
Mm.
But I mean, we all have our own fears. And for me, it's like, oh my gosh, are people going to like what I'm doing? Am I going to get judged? And I just finally, you were like, Jen, own it. You know, you got your body back. Like, you're traveling still. You run your business. You do this. Like, share that. Like, start the community. And like, I'm so glad we're able to do that. And like, you're my community and you help build me up, because that's really what this podcast is about a space where people can come and find people like you and like me, or and that they can relate to, because right now it's like so perfectly imperfect, if that makes any sense at all. And I just think that we need to kind of change that and make it a space where, you know, if even if you are on meds, if you are struggling, if you do have trauma, like, you don't have to feel judged, you know? And to me, that was like the biggest thing. And my sobriety has a lot to do with that. I get judged for that all the time. Like, I'm either, oh, well, are you Mormon? I would say is my number one question that I get. And then it always turns to, are you an AA? And it's so like invasive when I tell people that. I would say in California, I don't get that as much because it's
Mm.
more, I would say it's just more of a vibe there. But I will say it's like very different for me in fitting in. And I do feel a lot of judgment, a lot from, I would say, a lot of people, and it is really hard to deal with that. And I mean, what would you say are some good things that, I mean, we can do when you're in that kind of judgment? Because I know we all face it.
I mean, that's part of that really great thing about getting older is that there's sort of it's true. It's that you sort of
Yeah.
realize at some point not everybody's gonna like you, and getting
No.
approval from everyone is just not how it's gonna be, you know? Not everyone's gonna like me, not everyone's gonna think what I do is okay, and at some point, I decided to not care as much what people think, which is interesting because Instagram is all about getting likes. So it's a funny thing, and in
That's
Chinese
true.
medicine, we talk about this idea of the earth element, like the earth mama. And, you know, one of the out of balance characteristics of this earth element is if you're constantly looking for approval on the outside to find out if you're okay in the inside. And I think that's so much of our culture, right? It's like I said, Instagram, like if I don't have enough likes, I feel like I'm a failure, you know? Like, why does she, you know, if I don't sell enough books, I'm like, how come my book isn't selling and this person's book is selling? And to really, I think comparing ourselves to other people is like a recipe for disaster, right? And I think as we get older, we realize like I can't compare myself. Everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different trajectory. If you know, and people may not understand what I'm about, but whether they like me or not, and whether I like them or not too, right? And I think I mentioned this to you before, but I studied a lot with Ram Dass when he was alive, and
Yes.
studied. I used to do I did yearly retreats, and he would say this really impactful thing, which was like, love everyone. And I thought, I don't love everyone, but love everyone. And it was this idea of loving a person, their soul of who they are, and not just like he would say their incarnation or who they are in their body this lifetime. And I found that so very, very helpful, not only for, you know, having people like me, but also accepting others for who they are. That I could maybe not like exactly what their agenda is, but I could love their soul and realize maybe in this lifetime they missed the boat. I could name some people in our political system right now that I would have a hard time loving. But it's definitely this idea of really loving ourselves and being really authentic and being not afraid to be who we are and to stand up for what we believe in and not being worried about whether someone calls you Mormon or not or whatever they think of you.
Yeah. I mean,
It's not my business, right? Whatever you
no.
want of me, it's okay. Yeah,
And
work on me.
I love that. I don't mean to cut you off, but I do love that about you, because you are inclusive. And like, that's how I am. Like, I encourage all aspects because I want to know. And I think that you and I have talked about that too. Like when you travel, like there's so much stigma if you like travel and people go, "Oh my gosh, you're going there. Do you know how dangerous it is?" And I'm like, have you ever been to freaking Detroit? Like, have you ever been to LA, like in Crenshaw, like at 10 o'clock at night? Like, what are you talking about? Like, have you ever been there? Do you even have a passport? Like, it drives me crazy how ignorant, like, and we have like two channels of, information, which most of it is all skewed because it's, like you said, politically how people want you to believe. And for me, I just want to get to know people individually. Like, I really can't handle people that go, "Oh my gosh," and they want to tell you something. And then they go, "Oh, but don't tell anybody else," because they don't want people to know that they might, and they flip and flop. And I can't, that's what this is, I can't deal with that anymore. I just want people, even if you mess up or you have, there's things that we don't agree on, let's just be nice. Like, who cares? Like, I just feel like it's such a divided time. And I do love that you have that space for everybody and you you can take it with a grain of salt too and just be like, "Oh, okay," and move on and not harp and hinder on like one thing that you might not agree on with somebody about somebody else. And it's just
Yeah.
it does become overwhelming. And I mean, I think that for me, like a lot of my anxiety and stress as right now comes from motherhood and like society and like school and things like that. I mean, I know your children are a little older now, but I mean, it is kind of a scary time to be a parent, I feel like. And I know that you've done most of it on your own. And I commend you for that because you have two beautiful, healthy boys, but it is a very hard time to soak in a lot of this and stay positive. And I guess I think it's triggering too. And how could we not have like anxiety in this kind of society that we do live in? But, one of the things that sticks out to me, Denise, that you've said and that we've talked about, and I'm going to let you kind of elaborate on it, but is like grace. And like, I just feel like that's important and giving each other grace and giving and like forgiving, and what that means internally and forgiving other people. And I think that's something I'll let you take over on.
Well, I mean, grace is my word for 2026. I
Yeah,
was like,
I know.
I have to give myselmyself grace for mistakes I've made because I'm not perfect, right? And grace
Mhm.
just so that I can be, gentle with myself as the starting point. Because if I can't be gentle with myself, how am I going to be gentle and forgiving and accepting of others? And that's important. And yet I also feel like in our society right now, we're also sort of not only do we have to forgive, but we also have to take action. People don't even know where to take action. So it's
Mhm.
complicated, but I mean, I think if we're holding on to um, anger and we're worried and we have all these things, I mean, I probably should as a nation, but that doesn't help anything, right? It does like being worried. It's like a weird emotion that doesn't propel anything forward. So I guess the idea is to feel our feelings, but to let them go quickly and, and practice forgiveness for ourselves. Sometimes we have to forgive ourselves for actions we've taken, forgiving others for actions they've taken, and also having a voice, standing up for what we don't think is right. And I think our society is calling us right now to say something, to not sit and wait for things to happen, but to actually have a voice, to be authentic. I mean, this is about keeping it real. I love that.
Yeah,
Really
100%.
or like what, at the end of the day, like if you're not real and you're not really able to state, what you feel and you feel like you're being judged, then I think we have to evaluate who are the people that we're hanging out with because we want people that love us for when we make mistakes, for who we are. We want people to see us for who we are and spend time with people and, and if people make mistakes, we want to forgive and move on. We don't want to harbor all that yuck, anxiety and worry and stress, which I'd say really all my patients do right now, including myself, worry for what's going to happen in the future, worry for my kids in this sort
Yeah.
of this unknown society as it is today. Right. It may change in 6 months from now. I think my kids have this really lovely hope for the future. And I see that in them. Like, this is just a brief thing in time. I, of course, am panicked about the future, but I guess that's not really useful. Trying to figure out the balance of doing all the things internally to make me stronger and then also putting out in the world to make the world a better place, to speak my truth. and not worry if the party think I drink or not, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's so petty when you really think about it. And at the same time, I finally have gotten to that. And I don't know if it was like, I mean, I moved to a different state. It was in the middle of COVID, running a business. I just had twins. I did not know anybody in Arizona. We just picked up and left because it was so expensive in California. We had no idea. I mean, everything shut down. We were in a panic mode. And I think it was a good thing for us, but we kind of go, gosh, how did we end up here? Like, my husband's such a surfer and like I kind of try to do it all. Like I love my horse, I like to surf. I can kind of adjust and adapt pretty much anywhere, but I mean it has been a completely different vibe and I'm just now 6 years getting to where I'm like comfortable and I'm getting my community and it's taken me a long time and I think a lot of it's age, grace, and just finally feeling like, fuck it. Excuse my French, but fuck it. Like, this is who I am. Like, I'm not going to change. Like, do people really want me to start drinking again? Says, like, I don't. Like, I do not feel like I was my best. And right now, I feel like I am my best self. And if you don't accept that and don't like that because you want to go do something, I don't judge you. So don't judge me. And I really think having a voice and being around women, men, and empowering people that can have that voice to say, I got you. Like, what do you need? Like, and I said, we all need it. Like you said, a community. And I'm grateful that I have you. I mean, you really are such a sister like to me where I can just be like, oh my gosh, I need to pause and not react. And before I used to react huge. And I've gotten to a point now where I'm like, okay, I'll think about that. I'm going to go ask a few people who I really trust and know how I need to handle this or, before I react. And I think that there's a lot of people right now that react and they don't really channel that, inner self before they react to things.
Yeah, I mean, we're all human. We all wanna be loved. We wanna love and be loved. I wanna be
Yeah.
accepted and loved for who I am too, right? All the sticky bits, so we wanna find it's so normal to move to a new place and have a difficulty. It's hard to meet two friends and takes a lot of courage to relocate, you know? It's so you have to be, I guess we all have to be gentle with ourselves because it is a change, and change is sometimes hard.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. And I mean, going through these next, I would say, few months for me, it's a big change too. Like, I mean, I don't think I've talked about this. I haven't told you. I haven't said anything to anybody actually, but I'll spill the tea right now. I have been on my third mammogram for breast mass that they have found that they've spread. And it's become very scary for me because even though they say they don't think it's anything, it's like something that I keep going in for. And it's not looking great. And my grandmother had breast cancer. And she ended up surviving and living a long life. But I mean, it's really scary. And going through the process and dealing with that is also scary too because I have small kids. So I haven't shared about that. But it is something that, can be life-changing and the doctors here are so different too. I will say. Just and as far as where I went to get a testing like genetic, I thought I was going to get the BRCA gene testing. Well, you have to go through counseling before you can even get that test done, which I thought was just the most bizarre thing. So I have insurance. I went to go get the genetic testing done. And then I got pulled into a counselor's office and she was asking me if I have trauma and need to talk. And I was like, about what? Like, I just need to know like if I have the gene or not so I can address this. And she said, it doesn't work like that. We need to go through your family history. And it was so bizarre to me. And I don't know where to even start with that at this point. Where do I go now? So I don't know how to get the testing for that. I'm waiting to hear back from her. Apparently, the hospitals are full with testing right now for that gene. So I have to wait till next month, which is odd too.
Yeah, I mean, sitting in uncomfortability when we don't know what's going on is often really difficult.
Yeah.
One way or another, it's like once we know what's going on, we can make a plan, but sitting in unknown with so much unknown involving you, most likely cancer doesn't grow that fast in many
Yeah.
circumstances. if you have breast cancer, it doesn't grow that fast, and therefore you you can wait. You have time on your side, yeah? And
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, absolutely. Who wouldn't be scared? It's scary to not know what's going on. And it's scary that there's could be a possible diagnosis. And yeah, thanks for sharing that vulnerable piece of information. It
Yeah, I mean, it's real. It's something I just found out too. So I came home, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, why? I would just pay money, like just test me and see if I have the gene. Like that will make me free, right? By like knowing if I have it. Cause then I can know, okay, if I have it, then I'll know how to process it and like make a decision, right? But if I can't even get the genetic testing because they say you have to have 3 lines of like breast cancer and I have all brothers and so there's no females that would have it other than my grandmother. So they say I have to have 3 females in my family tree that have had breast cancer for me to qualify to get the genetic testing
I
for.
think you're really saying that it's gonna take time it's gonna for your insurance to cover your testing, you have to have all these qualifications, but I don't think it's that expensive to have a gene test.
No, it's not. It's $250, which was fine, but I was like, "Okay," and they said they can't do it until they at least try to push it through the insurance and that I don't qualify because it's not through insurance through January, so I'll have to resubmit and see if I can qualify for out of pocket for February for the testing of it.
Yeah, I mean, it might
Yeah.
be your state has different qualifications than
Yeah.
other states, yeah, then the but, like, I will look into getting that test. I don't know that it's that complicated. I don't know, I just like a s
I don't know. I mean, any help on that would be great because that's something that's been
yeah.
kind of stirring on my mind. But I mean, there's a little reality check for you, keeping it real for sure. Like, and I mean, I'm not like freaking out obviously about it, but yeah, I mean, it's in the back of my head. So that would be amazing.
I've treated a lot of people that have had BRCA. I've treated a lot of breast cancer patients, ovarian cancer, and everybody has a different trajectory with that. So, yeah, and people
Okay.
make different decisions based on, what their genetics are. It's a thing. Yeah.
So like on, like a professional level too. Like we do work with you, but like if I submit you anything to as my friend and somebody, would you look at it for me and
Yeah,
like help
of
me
course.
figure out how to do that? Okay. Cause I know there's probably a lot of women that might be in my position and that men have it too. And I would have never guessed that either, that men get breast cancer too. So
Yeah.
it's like a whole new thing I'm getting to learn about right now. So
Yeah.
welcome to my world.
I mean, I think that's why people in medicine it's so frustrating right now what's going on in medicine as well because we can't get things we can get Instagram instantaneous, but we can't get things sometimes in their own we can't talk to doctors and people go outside and they look for information because there's so much of information available. But yet sometimes we can't get it from our doctor and sometimes we self-medicate. I just sort of see that too. But I yeah, I just don't think I just don't think it's that complicated for you to get a BRCA test.
I know,
Your
I know,
OBGYN
I
will
thought it was odd. No,
that
that
just seems
has to go
awkward.
through the genetics counselor in the state of Arizona, and because I had the MRI done and the doctor from my MRI, the second one that I had, was like, "Oh, yeah, and I had a mammogram or the mammogram, then the MRI and whatever, and ultrasound." And he's like, "No, we would need you to refer you over to a specialist," I think at this point, because 'cause I've been going through this, like, off and on for years. Like, this started pre-kids and they're saying this is a very abnormal. I'm just doing what they're telling me to do and I just find it extremely frustrating. So if there's anyone going through it, I mean, please help me
It's
because
it
I don't even know how to handle this. And I've talked to friends of mine. I'm sorry?
you have to take things one step at a time. Like in all life, we have to just, gather
Okay.
information, take things one step at a time. Yeah? Just one step at a time. Today I'll look into this because
Yeah.
it's hard to stay present in the moment, but it's really requiring that you do because you don't know what it is yet. And it might not be anything. And it might be something. And it might be something easy. It might
Yeah.
be there's along the way there'll be like you make one decision, then there'll be another decision, right? Depending on what the trajectory is. And so you just have to take it one step at a time. I think yeah, we have to all take it one step at a time. Otherwise we can get into fear, anxiety, and panic, right? Over all the unknowns in life.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm about ready to snap sometimes, yeah, but, it's
Yeah.
always something, right? I mean, like, more than
Yeah,
any
but I
but,
mean, having
I mean,
a life yeah. like cancer is a scary thing.
Well, it is. I mean, and you have an experience with that too. I mean, I think that you've handled things so amazingly, and I know that I trust your opinion. I know that you know more than most going, you've been through experiences. So, yeah, it means a lot to me to have your help
Yeah,
on
I mean,
this.
bre breast cancer, like breast cancer, I have patients with, triple negative breast cancer, hormone dependent BRCA. Um, it's there's a lot of treatment in breast cancer right now. It's like and it is scary, but doesn't mean it's not scary, right? So one step at a
Yeah,
time.
definitely.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, not to like completely pivot here, but I guess we're switching the pace. But I want to talk to you about your sex coaching because
Yeah,
I
because breast
think,
cancer, sex coaching's all like there.
yeah, why not? I mean, I just want to
Let's
talk
do
about the
it.
sex coaching. I guess I want to just change the topic now because
Yeah, let's
I
just make
feel like
something a
I'm,
little lighter.
yeah, I just don't know if I really want to stress on that much because I'm still in the beginning phases and I need
Right.
to process some stuff first. I mean, about the sex coaching, Denise, this is awesome
Yes.
because I
Good.
don't know very many sex coaches. So can you tell me about what you do and how you do it?
So I, do a lot of fertility and a lot of women's health. And really the thing that
Hmm.
women don't talk about a lot of times, and men equally, is talk about sexuality. It's not usually included in a form. MDs don't really get a lot of education on it. Even therapists get not a lot of education on sexuality, but it's such a important thing, especially if you're trying to conceive. Like, if you don't have sex, you're not going to conceive. So many of my couples were having issues sexually, from not able to orgasm for a man to ejaculate in a woman, so can't make a baby, to women like having pain when they're having sex, to women not liking sex, wanting to have sex, to all these issues and women not understanding how their body operates because nobody ever really taught them. And so I felt like there was a big hole in fertility and in general for women. And I started learning about it, ended up writing a book on sexuality and fertility and just trying to understand and to help patients. In fact, I just had a couple that like they're trying to make a baby, they've done IVF and I saw them, she's like, I don't like having sex with my partner. So I got to work with them as a couple. And it was because they love each other. And I just got to unpack some things and give them some suggestions and honestly like changed everything for them. And that is so rewarding because it's just the things that people don't want to share because they have a lot of shame around sexuality and have a lot of beliefs about what it should be and what a sex drive is. So that's kind of how I got into it and then just decided like I need to explore more about sexuality. So became a coach and I add that into my Chinese medicine practice. Yeah.
And I love that. And I wanted to ask about this because this is something I haven't asked you about. And is there truth to women having a depressed vagina?
Having a depressed vagina? What
Yeah,
is
like
that?
having I've heard the phrase, and I don't know if it came from like Sex in the City or whatever, but I've just heard this like ongoing phrase lately about depressed vagina. And I don't know if that means like not wanting to have sex, not feeling good when you're having sex. Is there a reason for that? I mean, I've heard the term a lot lately.
That's so interesting. I have to look it up. I have no idea what a depressed vagina is,
Mhm.
but it could be a lot of things. I mean, my speculation is that it's not happy. It's not sad. It's sad. So is it sad because the tissues are not healthy because there's some estrogen lacking in the tissues and they're getting dry and so it's not happy. So sex is painful, could make a depressed vagina. Women who don't know how to orgasm because most orgasms occur in women are clitoral orgasms, not vaginal orgasms. And doesn't mean women can't orgasm vaginally, but in a lot of women just don't do it that way. So there's a lot of maybe misunderstanding about that whole area down there. So or maybe it's like lack of sex drive because maybe the partner isn't doing enough foreplay about arousal. So women oftentimes arousal, a desire follows arousal. So like people are like in their head a lot. I find couples are like busy, with the whole day, or if you have kids, right? It's like, okay, I
Yes.
sort of worked all day, put kids to bed. Oh, I just want to sleep. Like it's not on your mind. And men are
Yeah.
visual, so it's different for men. So it's like women, women have to be. not all women, but some women need a little bit of work to get into that area. And as men get older, they need a little bit of work as well. So it's this idea that we need foreplay and more of it. When a guy's aroused, he's aroused, and it can happen like this. Women take longer to become aroused. So maybe the depressed vagina is a woman who's having all sorts of issues, right? So it's understanding a lot of times with couples, it's being able to communicate about sexuality, which is so very, very hard sometimes, right? We're to ask for what we want. Do we even know what we want?
Yeah.
How do we find out what we want? How do we ask our lover to do this? And of course, you know, in a way that they'll respond to us. And then also sort of the patriarchy of like women being like, that idea that women don't have desire, don't have wants and desires and pleasure, that they shouldn't have pleasure. It's a man's thing. There's so much loaded on history and lineage and women's rights. It's a fascinating subject, but yes, I think maybe the
Yeah,
depressed vagina is all
I
of it.
love that. So part of my biggest question for you would be, and I think there's a lot of women that can probably relate to this, but if you have had kids, and for me having twins, I gained a lot of weight, right? So I will say that I've always had a very good appetite in the bedroom, but I will say my biggest insecurity after having kids was my body. Like, being on top or whatever. Like, I just wasn't confident after having kids, right? I look down and I see saggy skin, or I just wasn't feeling it. I'm like, I want the lights off. And maybe my husband wants them on. And I'm like, nope, turn them off. Like, I don't want you. He's like, but I think you look sexy. And I'm like, I don't care if you think I look sexy. Like, I don't feel sexy. Like, I don't feel. And I think that just comes from maybe age and confidence. But at the same time, you feel how you feel, right? And even if you might look amazing, if you don't feel amazing, that's going to come across in the bedroom, and that's going to really affect. I feel like I let that affect my own sex life for a while until I got out of my head and started realizing, wow, like my husband does still want me. He's a good looking guy, right? So that must mean something. But that goes to that image of like, well, I don't look like I'm 22 anymore. And I always equate that as like, oh, you go on Instagram, you see these beautiful models and they're wearing this. And I used to feel like one, and now I don't feel like one, but I'm starting to get there again. But it's kind of like a mind game, it can be talk about in your head. Like that's how I'm off and on with it. Like still, I mean, mostly I'm confident, but there's times where I just don't feel it. And I'm like, it's not him, it's me.
I think you've touched on such an important point for women and, the comparison thing and like he's not going to like me unless, if I have saggy skin. And when you have a
Mhm.
baby, the stomach, no matter, even if it's tight as, you do a lot of abs, the skin is different. Yes, that
It
is
is.
true. And I think as women, this idea of aging and right, like we're supposed to, have all these fillers and Botox and tummy tuck. Like we're not supposed to age. Men age, they sag too, and they're great. And we have to like do all these things. Again, it's a society thing, but it is really a self-love thing. So it's like, the mirror exercise. I had to do in one of my sex coaching programs where I had to be naked in front of a mirror, in
Oh,
front of all
wow,
these
okay.
people for reals. And I got to talk about my whole body. And like, it was like the mirror exercise where I went through head to toe about what I liked about my body and what I didn't like about my body and where I had shame in front of a whole room of guys and girls. Really empowering, I have to say. And yeah, and it
Okay,
was
I have to stop you right there. So wait, take it back a second. You're in a room with a mixed bag and you're men and women and you're naked in a mirror. Is this like a class or I'm sorry, what?
a lot of I did a lot of things for my sex coaching program, a lot of
Okay.
sexuality kinds of workshops and things to really understand sexuality and about that whole thing about how we feel it in our bodies. And when you see a lot of people naked, I don't know if you ever have been to like a naked beach or, I mean, I go to the gym, we all change. I go to the pool and everyone's there. And you just see all this variety of bodies and you recognize that like what you see on social media is not what women's bodies look like. And there's like this
Yeah.
newfound appreciation about your own body. And it's really about this idea that we're comparing toward, I'm not even sure what that is, but all these bodies are so beautiful in their own right. Bodies are beautiful, including our own. And it is that mirror exercise of like, I love you. And yeah, maybe my skin hangs, my belly has like extra fat, hangs, and it's like it's a little more curvy than it used to be, and it's not the same body. My skin's changed from when I was in my 30s and 40s and 50s.
Mhm.
My skin is not the same. And it's like that's what happens if you're lucky to get older. So it is about being it is about loving yourself, and it is making love with your partner is about not being in your head worrying about what your body looks like. That is not what we should be doing. We should be experiencing all this touch and sensation of pleasure as we are being touched by our partner and we are touching our partner. It is about being in the present moment, which is kind of the theme that we've been talking about all along, right? Is worrying about the
Mhm.
future, what's going to happen with our politics, what's going to happen with your breasts, what's going to happen with anything. It's like we have to sort of
Kids,
yeah,
school, yeah.
yeah, the kids are how are they gonna be in the future. All we really have to be is in present moment and do what's in front now. I mean, we, obviously have to plan for the future in some sense, the future that we don't know, the unknown future. There's a little bit of that, but there is really this being in the present moment. So making love with your partner is about focusing on touch and sensation and not like, what does my body look like? Is he looking at my flabby arms and my skin folding over? If I go there, I'm like instantly out of the moment and I'm instantly worried. So
Yeah.
being in our sensation that we're all really beautiful. And it is a mere exercise of like self-love, right? I mean, and then, it's more than that too, because as women, I mean, I've been bodily shamed by men. I've been like,
No.
I've had some, past situations where, a man has mentioned something and, like, just getting older and I won't even go into the details, but yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, like that's me. And it's so much shame. And I like, no, this is who I am. Love me or not? So we
Yeah.
also have that, to go through as women too. Or if we've had sexual abuse. A lot of women
Well,
have.
I was told once by a guy I dated before Todd, and he said, "You know what? You're like a solid 9." And I was like, "A solid 9?" I'm like, "Out of what?" He's like, "A 10." And I'm like, "Well, why am I not a 10 to you?" And he goes, "Well, because you just need a boob job. And if you had a boob job, you'd be a full 10." And I was like, "Stop the car. Stop the car." I literally got out of the car and I walked. I was like, "I'm done." Like, "Nope, like vanity, I mean, we all have it, but I just feel like if I'm not going to be someone's like I'm not into that. People want to have a boob job, that's fine. I have plenty of friends that have them and they look amazing, but I'm not going to rate somebody based on like their breasts or, like mostly it's their personality because you can have the most beautiful person in front of you, but if they're a total asshole or they're not nice, then that'll change your perspective of them really quick. And I mean, really, that's a huge hard like buy to me when people start acting like that on that level. It's that high that ugh, just so I'm sorry you brought that up, and it just
Yeah,
reminded me,
so many
men
women have
men can be.
so many women have that where a man has said
Mhm.
something and made a woman feel insecure about her body. So many women I know feel
Yeah.
so insecure about their body, because we've had so much, people say things. Yeah.
Well, it's true, and like you said, going to the pool, like, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, actually. At 44 years old, if I'm gonna wear a two-piece, like, I went from 217 pounds with my twins to now back to pre-baby weight, and so what if my skin sags a little bit? If I'm gonna wear a two-piece until I literally maybe the kids start saying, "Mom, like, are you gonna" whatever, and I'll probably still tell them, "Hey, I'm gonna own it," whatever, but, I mean, everyone just needs to do what they're confident in, and, sometimes we all do it, we all judge, and but at the end of the day, it's about how you feel, and, I mean, the sex coaching, I think, is phenomenal. I mean, back to the mirror, I don't know if I'm, confident enough to go in a room in front of a bunch of people naked. I mean, that's
Well, you know what? You know what? You see that everyone has a body and everyone doesn't always love everything about their body. That there's something about being human. That's the human experience that we all have all these body parts. We're all kind of the same. We all have the same body parts. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And everybody's are different shapes and sizes and beautiful in their own right. And you start to see that when you're naked. It's like there's just no hiding. So you sort of have to do a lot of work on loving yourself.
And then one thing I wanted to touch on too while we're on the topic is pain. You mentioned pain in the vagina. And like for me, I had a natural twin birth, not planned, not going to brag about it. Was not something I would recommend or do again or want to do again, but it happened. And, it was really for me. And I've heard this from a lot of friends of mine. Like, I did tear and they had to stitch me up and, I'm healed and stuff. But it took me a good couple years to really feel like it didn't hurt to have sex. And like, I mean, are you able to help with that? Because I think that's something huge that I hear a lot of moms talk about right now is they
Yeah.
don't have sex, they don't enjoy it because it hurts.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having any pain at all with sex, you gotta get yourself to a doctor and be examined and find out what the cause is. If it's because of adhesions from being stitched, like as a pelvic floor dry needler, which I am, I'm a certified pelvic floor dry needler, I can go in
Hmm.
and with some needles and break some of the adhesions from the stitching from like an episiotomy or a sewn up a tear. And a pelvic floor physical therapist are two great things to see. After you give birth, they can work on the muscles and like one should not have pain, right? No pain.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I find that to be I didn't know for me, I thought that was normal to have pain, right? And I mean, they say not to have sex for a certain amount of time, whatever. And so, you do all the things, you heal and do all of that. But at some point, I was thinking like a year after,
Yeah, too long.
I think it was abnormal to have that.
It's too long. Don't wait that long. I mean,
But
like,
there's a lot of women out there, they don't know.
yeah, because we don't talk about it because the doctor
Yeah.
just
And
say,
so there's acupuncture. Needling. Yeah, no, doctor, even now, like I go and get my examination. I love my gynecologist here. She's great. I mean, but it's like very assumptive in and out. And I don't feel like I can go in and just I like my doctor now, but like she's been gone the last two pap smears I've had, right? So I see these her practitioners or nurse practitioners or whatever they are, and there's not really a connection with them. So I just kind of go in, do the motions, and like you just wait to hear back. But it's like really hard to find out, like, okay, where do I go ask these questions? Like, I feel like it's so kind of turn and burn right now, where I don't feel like it was like that pre COVID, even.
yeah, I mean, I think seeing a pelvic floor physical therapist can be very, very good if you've given birth, just to kind of restore the pelvic floor muscles if you're having pain. But there's so many causes of pain. There's so many different causes, and it might be your
Mhm.
adhesions but it could be dryness. Vaginal dryness can give pain. It could be endometriosis, and it could be right. It could be so many factors that we really have to make sure that we're checked out by a doctor if you're having pain to sort of get to why you're having pain, right? If you're, a lot of women don't know that, like, as you get older, your estrogen in your tissues goes down. If you're not putting estrogen back in, like menopausal, perimenopausal in your vagina, those tissues get very thin. So again, not everyone's the same, but having someone look inside there and assess what your tissues look like is very important. So getting an assessment from somebody is super important. You have to just find a doctor that you can talk to about, so like for women, not
Okay.
being shamed to say, I've got pain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still shocked. Like, I mean, the more I get to know, like, my friends here, my newer friends here, like, I mean, we just start talking and you and I are very similar. I'm just like, be direct, like, tell me how it is. Like, even if it shocks me, there's not much that people can tell me that shocks me, but let's go for it. And people just start confiding in me and telling me stuff. And I go, oh my gosh, like, how long have you felt like this? Well, I've had 5 kids. So it's, just been since my first kid. And I'm like, you're a few years older than me and you still feel this way. You need to go. And they just don't know. They think it's normal. Like, to have pain or these types of, dryness. I have a good friend now and she's talking about like perimenopause. And I mean, I don't know. I think that's a big one right now too, but she's like 37. Can you go in perimenopause at 37?
Yeah, I mean, some people, if they have a family history of moms going into perimenopause younger,
Okay.
they can. Yeah, people do. I mean, they say advanced maternal age is over 35. So, yes,
Wow.
37, it would be premature to be in perimenopause. It would be something wrong. So, but you can because
Okay.
it depends on your family history. So, it's again really great to get checked out, by someone who specializes in that kind of care. Like,
Okay. No,
I
that's
do.
good to
I
know.
do. I mean, there's
So
blood
I
tests.
didn't know. I thought you had to I kind of associated perimenopause though for like 50 and over. Like, but you can get it like that early. Like I could even get it.
Yeah, 35 and above is perimenopause. It's in
Okay.
and around
That's good to
menopause.
know.
because menopause can take a lot of years to actually, it doesn't go, you're in menopause. It's like a gradual decrease in your reproductive function over time. So it can begin when you're 35, for 37 for some, 39, 40. It's what you do in the 40s. It just depends on what you do and what, different doctors vary in what they think you should do for that perimenopause.
Okay.
Right now, it's very big to be doing hormones, but hormones are not for everyone. So it's just, yes, you can. You can go to perimenopause early.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So, I mean, and that's something that you would need to go to a MD to get looked at for or to
Yeah, I
get
think
a
a
diagnosis
gynecologist.
for, or how
I
do
mean,
we
a gynecologist,
again?
as women age, the hormones change and they can run like an AMH, anti-Müllerian hormone, to see like what what the follicle count is, how much follicles one has left. So they can also do a follicle
Okay.
stimulating hormone, an FSH, to see like if your pituitary is shouting really loud to your ovaries to ovulate. And that can, plus with an estrogen or estradiol level, they can kind of conclude like where you might be in the journey.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's so, I mean, I don't know. That's why we're talking about it because you don't know what you don't know. And like, I know what perimenopause is. I just don't know what the age for it is. Right. So I just think it's a little premature, but you said that that can happen. So that's good to know.
Yeah, it depends.
I mean, having someone like you, Denise, which is amazing, you can help guide women. And can you tell us like how to find you? Like, I mean, I know how to find you, and I mean, I'll make sure that people that watch this do. But
You could go to
will
my
you let us
website.
know how we can find you?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can follow me on Instagram, which is my name, Denise Wiesner, LAC. And I also have a website, naturalhealingacupuncture.com, and you can get in touch with me there.
Okay, great. And then I'm also going to link your information as well. And so, anyone listening, if you need any sort of advice, any sort of sexual education, you're going through any trauma, you have anything that you really need to address that you maybe don't feel comfortable talking about, I will say, Denise, you are the go to. And you treat so much. So I really hope that this helps somebody and that we're able to keep bringing awareness to everyone.
And thanks for having me and also being so honest with your own life. It's really refreshing, and
Yeah.
to know we're all in this together, with our own worries and concerns.
Yeah, and Denise, thank you so much. And I'll be in touch with you and I will go ahead and just give your information to anyone. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And don't forget to like and share. And please follow Denise Wiesner. This episode is brought to you by Rural Reach Digital, where SEO meets AI to grow your business. Thank you so much for listening and spending time with me. As always, keep it real and see you next week.